Hi, my name is Brian Lead. I'm Service Manager here at Power Pro Equipment, New Holland, Pennsylvania. I deal with construction equipment. Mostly I deal with Pettibone. So a little bit of background. I've been employed here for all but 39 years. 30 plus years of those I ran road service to job sites repairing Pettibones. It's a lot of what I know. I've been fixing Pettibones for a lot of years. I'm not the only one here at Power Pro that's been doing that. We have several staff members that have been employed here for a very long time. One would be my brother, Scott, who's been employed here 30 plus years doing the same thing. Our knowledge that we have acquired over those years has great value. Today, I just want to talk a little bit about one of the things we have learned over the years in fixing Pettibones, and that is the Carraro transmission. You're going to see behind me two units, which I'll show you, one of which is 156, the other of which is an 8044. And in the background of both of these two is a 944X, Pettibone's next generation machine. If you're not quite ready for the next generation machine and you're still trying to support one of your owned 8044s or 156s, this is what I'm here to talk about. Today I want to focus on the Carraro transmission, specifically the TLB2, which is shown in both of these models and several other of Pettibone's models. We have worked on everything from the Super 6, the Super 4, the Super 8, to the 88s, the B68s, now to the 8044s, the 156s, and we're geared up and ready to take on Pettibone's next generation machine, the 944X. But in the meantime, here's the Carraro transmission I was talking about. Easily recognized by the flat control valve on the top of the transmission. If you're not sure what a TLB2 is, it's easily recognized. All your solenoids are directly in a straight line. Pettibone also has another Carraro transmission it used, also identified as a TLB2, easily identified by a different control valve on top of the transmission, which we'll show you later in this video so you can identify which Carraro transmission you have. What we want to talk about is when this transmission fails. A very common failure of this transmission is it will break a main shaft inside this transmission, rendering it inoperable. It will feel like your parking brake came on and you can't drive through it. Sometimes you will still maintain a first gear in the machine and it'll still drive in first gear, but you will lose all the other gears. That's a pretty good sign that you have broken the shaft inside this transmission. More bad news, that shaft is not available through Pettibone or Carraro currently. The good news is we have had that shaft manufactured, a process that took probably 2+ years to acquire, but we have that transmission shaft. And now we are able to rebuild these transmission, get your machine back in service. Here is the other Carraro transmission that I was speaking about, easily identified by the control valve on top of the transmission. This one here has the solenoids in an over and under position versus the other one, which was all in line. We have experienced problems with this transmission as well, catastrophic failures inside this transmission when a shaft breaks. Both these transmissions we have been able to repair and get your machine back in service. One of which, the previous transmission, the shaft is not available. Parts for this transmission are still available through Pettibone, but we are already planning ahead and having the shaft that fails inside this transmission mapped by our machine shop, getting ready to start the process of having that shaft manufactured outside of Pettibone and outside of Carraro, because we feel that in time that shaft will not be available as well. This machine and those machines still have great value and should not be just deemed that they are not serviceable anymore. We have found a way to work through that, and we have found a way to rebuild these transmissions and get your machine operable again. I wanted to show you, if you're not familiar with the part that breaks inside the Carraro transmission, I wanted to show you one of the shafts that fails. It is a pretty heavy-duty shaft, but over time and fatigue, this is what happens. That shaft will break in two pieces. It will cause the machine not to move anymore. It will cause damage to the transmission housings. They will need to be remachined, and this shaft will need to be replaced. Like I mentioned before, that shaft is currently not available through Pettibone or Carraro or any of Carraro's sources in the United States. This is the shaft that we had manufactured. A brand new shaft through our machine shop, already test tried in multiple transmissions that we've rebuilt and are out and back in service. I wanted to introduce to you two of the techs that really paved the way for us to be able to rebuild this Carraro transmission. Ben, who's our road service tech now, but started off in the shop and was the frontier of rebuilding this transmission, and Tim, who rebuilds the transmissions currently. We also have had this test bench built, which we're going to show you, to now test our transmissions before they're reinstalled in the transmission. That way, whenever they're sent to us from wherever over the country, we can pre-test them before they're sent back. So we have one of our transmissions connected to our test bench, and we're going to put it through the testing procedures. Tim is going to fire up the test bench, and then we'll show you what we can learn through testing it before we would send the transmission back to whoever sent it to us. Okay. First, we want to establish that we have drive oil pressure, which is shown on this gauge. Once we've established that and are confident we have good drive oil pressure, then Tim's going to take it through the gears. And he's able to shift it through the gears in one direction, and then we'll pause it and we'll reverse the direction and shift it through the gears. And now we know that our transmission is fully functional before we send it back to our customer. We talked about the Carraro transmission extensively. I didn't want to limit this video to just that. I wanted to make sure you were well knowledged on the fact that we know this machine from end to end. We have 3 road service techs, 3 full-time road service techs. You met Ben, who's one of them. We have Scott and Jeremy as well, who spend every day on road service, fixing these machines out on the road so they don't have to be transported back to our shop. The failure is that severe that it has to be brought back to the shop. We can accommodate that through our trucking as well and get it back to our shop to make a qualified repair in our shop. A little bit more about this machine and the knowledge we've gained. I spoke about the other models we've worked through as Pettibone built them. We learned them, we repaired them better than anybody else, I feel. The biggest key to keeping this machine to run, as long as you can possibly get it to run, is preventative maintenance. We provide that. We will service your machine. When we service your machine, it is not just an oil change. It's never just an oil change. It is a full lubrication of everything on that machine. We check every fluid level on that machine. We do an operations check on that machine to make sure that when we leave, it is safe to operate. And hopefully our goal is that you don't see us again until the next regularly scheduled oil change for that machine. We specialize in the axles of this machine. I mentioned the transmission. We are also an authorized Cummins dealer. This has a Cummins engine in it. We have dealt with Cummins engines for many, many years. We also specialize in boom functions on these machines and can do a lot of that repair on road service. It's not often that the machine has to come to the shop, but there are times when the failure is that severe or the work is that much that is required that it needs to come to our shop. The other thing we offer at Power Pro is we have our own owned hydraulic shop in our Quakertown store. That shop is able to take a cylinder, rebuild it if it's rebuildable, or manufacture a brand new cylinder to be reinstalled on that Pettibone in-house. We do all those hydraulic repairs in-house at our Quakertown store. We've dealt with 8044s, we dealt with 156s, we deal with the 1157s, and we also now deal with Pettibone's newest version, the 944X. We're going to show you a little bit about that over here. Pettibone has come out with the 944X series machine. You can tell the difference with this machine versus the older machines is because the engine and transmission is now mounted on the side of the machine, which makes it much more accessible. It is a great machine if you're ready for the new one. If you want to maintain the machine you currently own, we'll handle that as well. That's what we're here for. The focus of this video was maintaining the machine you currently own. 156, 8044, 8036, 944. Maintaining that machine for as long as you possibly can. That's what we specialize in. There's nobody better than us. We've been in it longer than anybody. The knowledge we have acquired is more so than anybody else in the industry. If you want to get a hold of me, ask me questions, talk about your Carraro transmission that you can't get up and running, you can please give me a call, 717-354-4241. Again, my name is Brian Lead. I'm the Construction Service Manager here at Power Pro Equipment.
Power Pro, the power you need.